aside your fear. Make the world remember your name. Your name.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to the Shit Talkers Show. I'm Bobby Baxter, and what a week it's been in the STL. We've had crocodiles, cardboard captains, invisible footballers, mafia propaganda, giant monsters, and somehow, Roller Boys Tigers winning a football game.
I still can't believe that happened. I checked the scores 3 times because I thought the app had glitched.
No glitches, Lenny. Just pure STL madness.
Joining me as always, the ever-stylish Sally Fairbank,
Good to be here, Bobby.
and a man who still thinks tactical magnets are edible, Lenny Giordano.
In fairness, Bobby, they look delicious.
Tonight we'll recap every ridiculous moment from round 9, check out Sally's spotlight, dive into Lenny's leaderboard lowdown, and recap the ladder shake-ups after one of the wildest weekends we've ever seen. But first, it's time to welcome the frontman of the ST Funk Express, Reggie Velvet Thunder King.
Thank you, Bobby baby. Looking good tonight, Sally. Lenny, surviving.
Barely.
All right, Reggie, straight to business. Who do you think pants les this week?
Jason Malia. Can't be anyone else but him.
Jason Molia?
See, that's your problem right there, Bobby. You don't respect pronunciation.
I thought it was Molia.
No wonder you boys keep causing chaos on commentary night. It's Malia.
Oh, here we go.
All right, wise guy, you say it then.
Jason Malia.
That actually is how you say it.
Thank you, Sally, the only professional on this panel.
Well, all right then, smartass. If you think you can call these games better than us, come over here. Sit down and put on your best presenter voice.
Oh, he's actually coming over.
All right, Reggie baby.
Done. Step aside, lightweights.
Reggie, what about the song?
ST Funk Express. It's instrumental time.
Tiger Frowl's stunning 594-point demolition of second-place Lalor completely exposed the fraudulence of their much-hyped 5-game winning streak. After weeks of barely scraping past mediocre opponents, Lalor finally came up against a side willing to embrace total insanity, and they had absolutely no answers. The chaos began pre-game when Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un arrived at the MCG in matching camouflage golf carts, declaring the match Operation Purple Collapse. Matthew Falls then reportedly locked David Boone inside a corporate suite for almost an hour by convincing security he was an intoxicated intruder carrying illegal baked beans. By the time Boone escaped, Tiger Frowl had already piled on 8 unanswered goals. Shane Warne attempted to swing momentum by introducing mystery spin footballs at quarter time, but Kim Jong-un confiscated them, claiming they were unauthorized projectiles. Chris Macca's motivational speech somehow made things worse after he accidentally compared the team to the 2011 Gold Coast Suns. Meanwhile, Tiger Frowl ran riot. Donald Trump spent the third quarter live streaming from the coach's box. Vladimir Putin repeatedly shirt-fronted unsuspecting wingmen, and Matthew Falls booted a career-best bag while screaming, "The streak was fake," after every goal. The result launches Tiger Frowl into 4th spot, while Lalor slumped disastrously to 6th, with many now questioning whether their 5-week run was simply built on soft opposition and pure luck.
Peter Konadaris ignored every warning sign from the previous week and somehow once again selected Millie and Vanilli despite both men failing fitness tests during the week. Incredibly, things got even worse when Michael Jackson arrived, carrying life-sized cardboard cutouts of both players after claiming they were still spiritually available for selection. The disaster escalated before the opening bounce when Konadaris officially named Millie's cardboard cutout captain of the Paul Stanleys, despite the thing barely holding together after last week's massacre. Trainers spent most of the first quarter desperately reapplying sticky tape every time the cardboard captain folded in half from a slight braze. At one point, the cutout was accidentally left standing in the center square during live play and received more effective disposals than 3 actual teammates. Meanwhile, the new-look Monster Nitro Vipers arrived with serious momentum after securing sponsorship from 6 of Australia's most aggressively bogan companies, including a muffler warehouse, a bulk beef jerky outlet, and a chain of discount tattoo parlors. With fresh cash flowing into the club, the Vipers hired wrestling legend Ted DiBiase as mindset coach. DiBiase spent the entire week teaching the Vipers one simple philosophy: everybody's got a price. Opposition players were repeatedly distracted throughout the game by Vipers runners offering cash bonuses for missed tackles, deliberate rushed behinds, and fake hamstring injuries. Paul Stanley's defender, Billy Idol, reportedly stopped chasing his opponent after being promised a jet ski and lifetime supply of Woodstock cans. The Vipers piled on goals, while the Paul Stanleys descended into complete confusion. Michael Jackson was eventually seen trying to repair Millie's cardboard captaincy badge with a glue stick near the interchange bench, while Ted laughed hysterically from the coach's box, waving $100 notes in the air. The win keeps the Vipers' season alive with their 3rd victory of the year, while the Paul Stanleys slumped to 7th after a 2nd straight humiliating defeat.
Kamrita Tigers secured one of the most bizarre wins in STL history, defeating bitter rivals Jungleland by 211 points, thanks to the ghost of Steve Irwin, producing 4 quarters of complete chaos. The madness began in the opening term when the ghost of the Crocodile Hunter suddenly appeared floating behind Bruce Springsteen at half forward. Crikey! Is it really you, Bruce? I love your song Dancing in the Dark with Venomous Snakes. Steve yelled before throwing 3 live snakes directly into the Jungleland forward 50. Panic immediately broke out as Jungleland players vaulted the fence and sprinted toward the car park, while Kamrita casually walked the ball coast to coast for easy goals. Things somehow became worse in the second quarter. Steve floated toward Jungleland wingman Roy Bitton and shouted, "Crikey! Roy Bitton, I love your piano playing on Queensland Crocodile Freeze Out." Moments later, a crocodile emerged on the wing. Roy fled instantly while teammate Joe Biden completely froze out, standing motionless before quietly muttering, "Oh no, not again," and crapping his diaper. By halftime, Kamrita Tigers had stormed to a 100-point lead. The 3rd term descended further into madness when Steve tapped Jungleland ruckman Clarence Clemens on the shoulder and excitedly yelled, "Clarence Clemens! Oh, he's a big fella! I love your sax solo on Born to Run Away from a 15-foot salty." Right on cue, another crocodile burst from the muddy center square, snapping wildly at the Jungleland midfielders. By this stage, 13 Jungleland players had abandoned the match entirely. Despite already leading by an unassailable 150 points entering the final quarter, Steve Irwin wasn't finished. Floating toward Big Keith and Brian Giovanni, he shouted, "Keithy and Bryza, have you heard this classic? I'm on fire," from a fire ant bite. Seconds later, a colony of fire ants began swarming up both players' legs. The remaining members of the Jungleland leadership group sprinted from the stadium faster than Usain Bolt as Kamrita piled on goals at will. The emphatic win leaves both clubs sitting on 3 wins and 6 losses. But while Kamrita suddenly have momentum and belief, Jungleland appear to be spiraling rapidly toward the bottom of the ladder.
Only one win separated 3rd-placed Abs Magic and 10th-placed Smilly Squad heading into the clash, with Smilly Squad knowing victory would launch them into the top 8. Unfortunately for them, Abdul Yalchin had other ideas. Dan Evans, owner of Smilly Squad and also their centre-half forward, is one of the Squadfather's biggest followers. Dan and his teammates religiously watch Abdul's YouTube videos every week, and Abdul knew it. In a calculated act of psychological warfare, Abdul released a special video days before the game advising viewers that the key to success this week was to watch the entire Godfather trilogy without taking a single bathroom break. Somehow, Smilly Squad followed the advice. The results were catastrophic. Smilly Squad entered the game mentally exhausted, severely dehydrated, and completely terrified of being sent to the mattresses. Things deteriorated further when a delirious Spudman accidentally mistook the tactical magnets for cocktail onions during the pre-game address and swallowed 3 of them whole. Every time the coach's board was updated, Spudman would sprint toward it, screaming, "More snacks!" while teammates desperately tried to restrain him. Meanwhile, Vito Corleone repeatedly wandered onto the field throughout the afternoon, quietly offering opposition players business opportunities they could not refuse. Several Smilly Squad defenders reportedly became so paranoid they began checking nearby parked cars for hidden mobsters between quarters. By the third term, Smilly Squad goal sneak Fry Daddy had completely cracked under pressure and hidden himself inside the trainer's ice bath, claiming he had entered witness protection. Apps Magic eventually cruised to a 76-point victory and now find themselves sitting pretty on top of the STL ladder, while Smilly Squad are left wondering why they ever trusted YouTube Mafia life advice in the first place. Just calm down.
Sizzling Grill kept their season alive in a 22-point thriller over Thunderstruck. The game was tight all afternoon, with Thunderstruck's rock legends matching Sizzling Grill's army of oversized monsters through sheer noise, chaos, and leather pants confidence. But things took a turn in the third quarter when Ozzy Osbourne became convinced Shrek was not a footballer at all, but an actual swamp creature who had wandered into the MCG by mistake. Ozzy then spent most of the term pacing the boundary line, trying to feed him bats, while Shrek repeatedly yelled, "I'm already full, you lunatic," before taking another contested mark. By the final term, with the game on the line, Thunderstruck were still within striking distance. Then the Iron Giant accidentally mistook Tony Iommi's guitar for a spare piece of machinery and tried to repair it during live play. Within seconds, a full-scale melee erupted between furious Thunderstruck players and 3 giant Sizzling Grill teammates, with Slash trying to rescue the guitar, while Hulk, Woon Woon, and Gregor Clegane formed what appeared to be the world's largest security wall. Roger Murdoch attempted to calm tensions by reminding everyone he was actually an airline pilot, then convinced Thunderstruck defender Jimmy Page to lend him the keys to the Zeppelin so that he could rise above the chaos. Page agreed, but only after Murdoch insisted that Page complete a 14-minute guitar solo safety briefing. This classic diversion tactic by Sizzling Grill delayed Jimmy Page long enough for Godzilla to wander into the goal square, completely unmarked for the remainder of the game. Sizzling Grill hung on for a 22-point win. The result gives Sizzling Grill their 4th victory and keeps their season alive, while Thunderstruck slipped to 13th and are left wondering how they lost a must-win game to a swamp misunderstanding, a guitar repair incident, and a borrowed Zeppelin that never left the runway.
Flimdogs continued their terrifying rise up the STL ladder with a brutal 92-point demolition of Lalor of the Wild, further cementing themselves as the league's hottest team. With the competition's highest scoring offense and the best percentage in the STL, the Flemdogs ran onto the ground full of swagger, and by quarter time it already looked like a training drill. Much of the pre-game attention centered around Lala superstar John Cena, who promised fans he would become completely invisible for the entire match. Unfortunately for Layla of the Wild, he succeeded a little too well. His own teammates genuinely lost track of where he was and spent most of the afternoon handballing directly into open grass, convinced Cena was somewhere nearby calling for it. At one point, Tim Ratton delivered a perfect lace-out pass to absolutely nobody before screaming, "Johnny, where are ya?" into the wind. Casper attempted to solve the issue by covering himself in fluorescent paint to make himself easier to spot. But that backfired spectacularly when several Lala of the Wild players mistook him for a field umpire and repeatedly kicked the ball straight over his head. By halftime, the confused Ghost had accidentally paid 3 holding the ball decisions and was seen arguing with the real umpires near the interchange bench. Meanwhile, the 3 Matthews, Matthew Knights, Matthew Richardson and Matthew Rogers produced an absolute footy masterclass. Richardson muncered Layla of the Wild's defence all afternoon. Knights controlled the midfield with ruthless precision, while Rogers carved through traffic like he was playing against traffic cones. No invisible tricks, ghost tactics, or jungle magic could distract the Flem Dogs, who remained calm, composed, and brutally efficient from start to finish. Physically, the Flem Dogs completely bullied Layla of the Wild around the contest. Every bump, tackle, and shepherd seemed to send another Layla of the Wild player flying into the turf, while John Cena remained missing in action somewhere near the members' wing. The emphatic 92-point victory further boosts Flem Dogs' premiership credentials as they rise to third on the ladder, while Layla of the Wild tumble out of the 8 after yet another harsh reality check.
Houdini's Rivals produced one of the biggest boilovers of the STL season, stunning the Roaring Tigers by 55 points in a performance fueled by complete Muppet insanity. Entering the match with just one win and sitting second last on the ladder, very few gave Georgie Smith and her crew of chaos merchants any chance against Deborah McCoy's star-studded Roaring Tigers lineup. Early on, however, something felt off. Swedish Chef had somehow been appointed acting runner for Houdini's Rivals and spent the afternoon delivering tactical instructions entirely in gibberish. Amazingly, the Muppets appeared to understand every word perfectly, repeatedly setting up loose players inside 50 with surgical precision. Meanwhile, Roaring Tigers players became convinced they were hearing coded military messages and spent most of the first half wildly pointing at random sections of the crowd, trying to identify enemy signals. Despite the confusion, Tina Turner threatened to drag Roaring Tigers to victory almost single-handedly, booting 4 goals by three-quarter time and looking unstoppable whenever the ball went near her. That's when Animal was assigned the tagging role. The final quarter descended into complete madness as Animal followed Tina Turner absolutely everywhere with a full drum kit strapped to his chest, screaming "Animal! Animal!" while smashing cymbals behind her every time she touched the football. Tina became so rattled, she accidentally kicked 2 set shots directly into the man on the mark while trying to block out the noise. At one stage, she attempted to line up for goal, while Animal performed a full drum solo 3 meters behind her. But the true turning point came at halftime, when Gonzo attempted one of his ridiculous center circle cannon stunts. The stunt went catastrophically wrong, with the cannon exploding sideways and launching Gonzo into the interchange bench, destroying 3 chairs and terrifying the Roaring Tigers players. Although nobody was seriously injured, the explosion completely rattled Deborah McCoy's side, who never regained composure afterward. Kermit, Fozzie Bear, and Miss Piggy all lifted after halftime as the Muppets piled on goal after goal, while the Roaring Tigers continued to unravel mentally. The shock victory gives Houdini's Rivals just their 2nd win of the season, although they remain stuck in 19th position. Meanwhile, the Roaring Tigers have now dropped 4 of their last 5 matches and continue to languish in 11th after another disastrous performance.
Sacred Snapper kept their finals hopes alive with a commanding 77-point victory over the Dodgywogs, overcoming yet another bizarre seafood-themed psychological attack. Jason Malia's strategy for the Dodgywogs this week was as simple as it was disturbing. Wheel out massive platters of calamari of octopus around the rooms and boundary line in an attempt to mentally destroy the Sacred Snapper players before the opening bounce. While it may have left several Snapper players emotionally scarred, the side had at least come prepared after last week's infamous seafood disaster against Dunder Mifflin. Sacred Snapper owner Wayne Tarr took no chances this time, making sure Flipper was literally chained to the goalpost pre-game so he couldn't flee the stadium in terror again. Meanwhile, full forward Jason Momoa was absolutely mortified by the sight of his fellow aquatic creatures being hunted, cooked, and casually consumed by the opposition. The rage fueled one of the great revenge performances of the season. At the other end, Elle Macpherson, Nicole Kidman, and Margot Robbie appeared to have absolutely no idea what the seafood mind games even meant and simply went about dominating the football. While the Dodgywogs were trying to traumatise the opposition with fried squid rings, the Sacred Snapper midfield was calmly carving them apart through the corridor. Unfortunately for the Dodgywogs, they had no backup plan once the seafood stunt failed. Worse still, it emerged post-game that the side once again hadn't trained during the week, with several players instead attending a local kebab festival hosted by Sam Kekovich. It showed immediately. Sacred Snapper dominated from the opening bounce and never looked threatened. Jason Momoa exploded with 7 goals in a brutal best-on-ground display, while multiple club disposal records were broken as the snapper ball movement completely overwhelmed the exhausted Dodgywogs outfit. The emphatic win keeps Sacred Snapper's season alive heading into the final stretch, while the Dodgywogs plummet to 17th and now face a genuine must-win scenario next week if they are to keep their STL finals hopes alive.
Munchers strengthened their push toward the STL finals with a bizarre 24-point victory over Dunder Mifflin in a game heavily influenced by suspicious footwear, accidental sports science, and 2 extremely intimidating men watching from a corporate box. During the week, Forrest Whitaker took Forrest Gump under his wing and attempted to mentor him on winning football the smart way. Whitaker secretly acquired what he described as performance-enhancing footy boots off the back of a truck, warning Gump not to ask any questions about where they came from. Forrest Gump nodded politely, despite clearly not listening to a single word being said. Before the match, Gump was tasked with handing the special boots out to the Munchers players. Instead, he wandered into the middle of the team huddle holding an armful of old-fashioned leg braces and delivered a motivational speech. My mama always said, a standard AFL match is 80 minutes of running around, unless you get caught holding the ball. Completely misunderstanding the assignment, Gump handed out the leg braces instead of the football boots. Miraculously, it worked. The entire Muncher side suddenly appeared 20% faster, with players endlessly sprinting up and down the ground like marathon runners. Roger Mortier couldn't believe what he was seeing, while Dunder Mifflin players looked physically exhausted trying to keep up with opponents who seemingly never stopped moving. Stanley Hudson attempted to chase Forrest Gump through the center square and reportedly required oxygen after 40 meters. Watching from the corporate box were Forrest Whitaker and Robert De Niro, who had spent most of the afternoon silently observing the chaos unfold. At one point, De Niro looked toward Whitaker, shrugged and muttered, "Hey, whatever works." Then came the moment that sealed the match. With Munchers edging out to a 20-point lead deep in the final term, Roger Mortier looked toward the corporate box and confidently gave Whitaker and De Niro a thumbs up. Whitaker responded with a cold, menacing Bumpy Johnson stare, while De Niro slowly pointed 2 fingers toward his own eyes and whispered, "I'm watching you." Roger immediately gulped, turned around, and got straight back to coaching. Munchers closed out the game strongly to secure a valuable 24-point victory, while Dunder Mifflin were left completely baffled by magical leg braces and Forrest Gump unknowingly revolutionizing football conditioning. Both teams remain in the top 8 as we approach the mid-season madness.
In what may genuinely be the most inexplicable result in STL history, the winless Riley Boys Tigers produced a staggering 232-point annihilation of ladder leaders Relic. Entering the match 0-8, the Tigers were given absolutely no chance whatsoever. In fact, bookmakers reportedly stopped accepting bets altogether after one punter attempted to place his house, boat and marriage on Relic winning by 300 plus. But somehow, through a mixture of confusion, stupidity and accidental brilliance, Riley Boys pulled off the impossible. The cartel were back involved again this week, despite their disastrous failed attempt to help Jungleland 7 days earlier. Determined to finally bring down the top dog, cartel members each gifted Les Riley what they described as winning tools. Unfortunately, none of them appeared remotely useful. Joel Ellis handed Les a magazine on how to screen print perfect eagle designs using tie-dye. Mark Elliott proudly gifted him an old guitar pick he claimed Angus Young dropped under a crushed beer can at an AC/DC concert in 1998. Aaron Brown contributed a pair of Servo sunglasses purchased at Caltex, while Brian Giovanni handed Les a napkin with the words "Get Stuffed" scribbled across the front. Remarkably, Les somehow interpreted all of this as tactical advice. The Tie-Dye Eagle magazine convinced Les that Riley boys needed to spread their wings, so players began flooding forward in giant chaotic waves all afternoon. The Angus Young guitar pick was attached to the whiteboard magnet and treated as a rock and roll good luck charm, which immediately sent AC/DC fan Dustin Martin into an angry spiral for reasons nobody understood. Les taped Brian Giovanni's "Get Stuffed" message directly above the interchange bench, where Riley Boys players began treating it as the official club slogan. Every time Relic attempted to build momentum, the Tigers players simply pointed toward the napkin and screamed, "Get stuffed," before launching into another ridiculous burst of goals. Meanwhile, Relic completely unraveled. Tony Lockett became furious after Plugger the Pig accidentally ate the corner of the tactical whiteboard at quarter time. Dustin Martin spent most of the second half arguing with Riley Boys supporters wearing fake pig noses, while Robert Harvey unsuccessfully attempted to calm teammates by insisting, "Surely this can't continue." It absolutely continued. By the final quarter, even Crystal Jones looked completely broken as Riley Boys piled on goal after goal in scenes that defied all football logic. Les Riley stood near the boundary, wearing the Caltex sunglasses while clutching the Angus Young guitar pick like it was a sacred artifact. The unbelievable victory still leaves Riley Boys anchored to last place, but at least they finally avoided being pantsed after securing their first win of the season. Meanwhile, Relic slipped from first to second after spending 7 straight weeks on top of the ladder. Incredibly, both of Relic's losses this season have now come against the bottom 2 teams in the competition.
Welcome back, fellas. What did you think?
How on earth did you do that with your voice?
Do what?
Your voice sounded so different, so professional.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You just did it again.
I'm just happy you boys sat quietly and learned something tonight.
I hated every second of it.
I thought it was nice.
All right. Let's get into Sally's spotlight before Reggie starts demanding his own dressing room.
Sally's Spotlight.
Tonight's spotlight focuses on Dunder Mifflin, one of the STL's most fascinating clubs. Last season, Michael Scott served as assistant coach at Sizzling Grill before Dunder Mifflin owner Matt Grimston lured him across with a far more lucrative offer to become senior coach. One of Scott's first major decisions was immediately removing Tristan Cherry and Isaac Heaney from the leadership group and replacing them with Andy Bernard and Dwight Schrute, with Dwight officially becoming assistant to the head coach. And somehow, it's worked. The biggest revelation has been Kevin Malone up forward. Statistically, he's one of the strangest players the STL has ever seen. Through 9 games, Kevin has kicked 29 goals, but also 65 behinds and an astonishing 43 out on the full. Every set shot feels like a lottery, yet he somehow remains one of the league's most dangerous forwards. Last season, Matt Grimston guided Dunder Mifflin to a minor premiership before their campaign came undone against Tiger Frau in the preliminary final. This season, they currently sit 8th with a healthy percentage and 5 wins from their last 7 matches. The question now becomes, can they finally finish what they started in 2025? It's still a long season, but they appear to be building at exactly the right time.
Time now for Lenny's leaderboard lowdown.
Lenny's leaderboard, low down.
Thanks, Bobby. The STL Coaches Association leaderboard is heating right up. Vladimir Putin now leads the competition on 23 votes after another dominant Tiger Frau performance, while Abdul Yalcin and Forrest Gump sit just behind on 22. Matthew Falls also surged into equal second after dismantling Lalor. Vito Corleone sits on 20 votes, while Spudman somehow remains inside the top 6 despite swallowing half the tactical magnets before the game. Dwight Schrute, Matthew Richardson, Tony Lockett, Dustin Martin and Jason Momoa are all locked together on 17 votes in one of the tightest races we've seen. Now the Coleman medal race. Matthew Richardson has stormed clear on 39 goals and honestly looks unstoppable right now. Barry Keith Hall and Tony Lockett sit tied on 36, while Shane Warne remains right in the hunt on 34 despite Lala's collapse. Jason Momoa has climbed to 32, while the Joker and Aussie Ostrich continue their unbelievable seasons. And then we've got absolute traffic at 29 goals. Johnny Sack, Peter Dacos, Saverio Rocca, Kevin Malone, Sir Duncan the Tall and Angus Young all tied together. This Coleman race is hot to trot.
Let's take a quick look at the STL ladder after round 9. Abs Magic now sit outright first on percentage after their win over Smilly Squad, while Relic dropped to second after one of the great collapses in STL history. Flemdogs have surged into third and genuinely look like the most dangerous offensive team in the competition right now, while Tiger Frel jump all the way into fourth after absolutely obliterating Lalore. Munchers round out the top 5, while Lalore tumble from second to sixth after the disaster against Tiger Frel. The Paul Stanleys now sit 7th after consecutive losses, and Dunder Mifflin cling on to 8th with a healthy percentage advantage. Outside the 8, Lalore of the Wild and Smilly Squad remain within striking distance, while Roaring Tigers continue sliding after losing 4 of their last 5 matches. Further down the ladder, Sacred Snapper and Sizzling Grill kept their seasons alive with important wins, while Thunderstruck Season is suddenly on life support, and somehow, Riley Boys Tigers still remain last despite winning by 232 points. Only in the STL. That's all we've got time for tonight. Huge thanks to Sally Fairbank, Lenny Giordano, and of course Reggie Velvet Thunder King for joining us.
By the way, it was Wayne Tarr.
What do you mean?
He pants less. Wayne did it.
You've got to be kidding me.
Reggie, you need to let it go.
No way. I know it was Wayne. Bro's way too polite on the Facebook group. Man's gotta have a dark side.
You've watched too many crime shows.
I've seen them all. Bobby.
And on that note, we'll see you all next week for another edition of the Shit Talkers Show. Good night, everybody.